is for teams to be able to come. There's enough beds for about 10 people. And then there's a second unit, which I don't have pictures of, which is where individual volunteers like yourself would stay for a longer term. Only 2 bedrooms. We just finished that up when we were there this last January, February. And then a third unit is in the works that I think you'll see pictures of here, where more volunteer teams could stay, or if you decided to stay as a GBGM missionary and live there on a more permanent basis with a family. But this is where you'd stay. This is that 10 bed unit.
Oh my.
We sent a 20-foot container with furniture to resource these 2 buildings that were built. And these are some volunteers that were with us in January. You'll see more pictures. And this is Irene, who will cook for you. In the country kitchen that's out back. The bigger unit with 10 beds doesn't have a kitchen. It just has a dining room area, and we have the country kitchen with where the coal pot is and all those kinds of things where they would do the cooking. The second unit that just has the 2 bedrooms has a propane scheme that you could do some of your own cooking if you chose
but Irene
to.
Won't let you.
Yeah, but Irene won't let you.
Really
She's very offended.
If you try to cook your own food, she'll give you.
I'll be insulted if you.
She is. Yeah. She won't let me boil water.
That's right. But this is some of the volunteers that were there and kind of hanging out at the guest house. It's a busy place. You can get your hair braided.
Oh, yeah.
It's a busy place full of kids and singing and counting and learning and just conversation.
Hugging and kissing.
Hugging and kissing. And
she taught these kids how to hug.
Your evening sunsets on top of the hill. This would be your transportation.
We do have a car that runs intermittently.
Intermittently, but this is a motorcycle that Danny uses while he's there. This is us hosting volunteer and mission teams last year before the guest house was built in another building. And this is Jordan. One of the things that's happening on the mission station is because of a 12, 13-year-old young girl in the congregation where I serve, who when she heard me talk about water wells around the Camp for Mission, she decided she wanted to be a part of making a change in the world. And so Camp for Mission is blessed that we have 5 hand-dug water wells and 1 borehole, but the surrounding villages don't have clean water sources. When they drink out of surface water that they find in the creek. And these are the kids that are going and fetching the water in the stream, which doesn't have clean water
but they're
sources.
also the kids that are pooping in that stream.
Right.
That's right.
Right. And so this is another volunteer who, Teddy on the left, and Joshua, the young man in the blue, is our, Teddy was at the Cleveland. Teddy was trained by Elton.
Teddy was a ray of sunshine.
Oh,
He was a senior in high school who finished high school in January, and before he went to college came and spent a couple of months with us at Camphor. And he worked with Joshua on a couple of Jordan's first water wells that she put in. But Joshua digs the water wells, works in the village with the chief elders to decide where the well is going to be. These are the kids with bad water, taking their water to the village, to their moms to clean, to cook, and to bathe in. But this is Jordan's good water that she helps put in. Joshua will dig with his guys, and they have put in 4 water wells. Jordan's put in 4, and then Brecksville United Methodist Church has put in the 5th water well in the 5 villages that didn't have clean water before.
And these are villages that our students commute from.
Right.
These are where our elders, and it's a good neighbor policy. Part of which is they don't have the resources that access clean water, but they are also like Camphor now. There are our security guards. There are our labor force when we need such. It's good neighboring.
So what happens is we come with, it's about $1,500 to dig a hand-dug well and get the cement culvert and to put in the pump. We come with that resource, and we give it to the principal or the superintendent at the Camphor Mission Station, who goes and negotiates with the elder and says, Camphor wants to be a blessing to you and wants to work with you on this. And the village elder says, we can do the sand and the gravel and things, and we'll haul the cement, and we'll help, and we'll host Joshua, our well person that we've hired up, a Liberian young man. And so Camphor Mission negotiates all of those things. We just bring the resource. and Camp for Mission then becomes the blessing. It doesn't say Jordan's Wishing Wells, it doesn't say Mentor United Methodist Church, it doesn't say UMVIP. It's a gift from Camphor to the community of Camphor.
Very good.
And so we say out of all, the thing that we learned in our frustration in 2009, 2010 is we can't manage Liberians. Liberians have to manage Liberians. And so we come in walking alongside and helping, maybe making suggestions to those leaders about how to manage. But we cannot be the ones negotiating, or if there's a fight and they're not hosting well, go talk to Camphor, because this is a ministry of Camphor, not of Kathy and Danny. And so that...
we can keep track of that $1,000 bill a little better.
Right, right. We can help manage the money and make sure that it goes to what Jordan has raised that money for, but they manage. But before Jordan started Wishing Wells, she heard me talking about how people in East Africa actually brush their teeth with the ash of the fire, and she thought that was gross and unacceptable. So she collected 1,000 tubes of toothpaste and 1,000 toothbrushes that we took to Camphor. And the 7th and 8th, 1,000 and plus, 1,000 plus.
You know ash is very good.
Well, I've never tasted it.
It's awful though. I know.
It's awful, but let me tell you.
Well, explain to you, you got white teeth.
Yes, it's when you have nothing else. But she was trying to offer something else, that's right. But so the 7th and 8th grade class was talking about the mouth and oral hygiene and things, and so we took that opportunity to do some teaching and distributed toothbrushes and toothpaste to some of our students.
It's a hot, sweaty mess.
It's sweaty all day long.
A lot over there.
One of the other things I do is preach over there occasionally, and English is the primary language in Liberia, but where we are, it's Bassa speaking, and so there's translation back and forth from English to Bassa. Most of our students who come from Monrovia don't speak Bassa, and so they know the English, but most of the rural members of the congregation need the Bassa translation. So that's me preaching. When I first went over in 2009, 2010, I was the business manager. Probably, again, a reason for my frustration. But I was in charge of kind of getting the books back in order and getting salaries paid on a regular basis and trying to get people to pay tuition and organize those kinds of things. And so
But it's not her gift.
No, I was a youth pastor in ministry and not an administrator. So.
But she's honest and knows all her numbers. So worked well.
So that was one of the things that I did as a volunteer.
So who does it now?
Well, we had Paul Glader and someone else doing it, and then they were let go January 1st. And now a man named Obadiah is given
He
a
used to be
shot.
our social study teacher.
So
He knows all this.
a local person is doing that. One of the things that the Garfield United Methodist Church in Ohio, it had their sister church, the Garfield Church at the Camphor Mission. They're helping them retile their floor with some funds. Their church floor.
And we just put 30 pews on a container
That's right.
Monday.
Wow.
To see about.
Yeah. Sandy Verdine is a volunteer who takes teams, and she helped train up the teens, older teens at the Camphor Mission to lead Bible study. She didn't come in just to do a Bible study, because when she left, that Bible study would go away too.
Right.
But she came in to train up young people how to do and lead their Bible
Is it
studies.
still going on?
It is still going on. This happened, she was doing this a year ago. She gave all of them a watch because they were going to be doing like a rotation model, and so they needed to know what time it was. Well, then all of a sudden everybody wanted to be a trainer and to be in the program. So
how about the incentive, right?
that's right. So that's what Sandy and her group did while they were there. This is a picture. We're taking a team of people back on June 25th. 10 people are coming for 2 weeks. They fly home, and 6 other people will come right after them, and they'll be with us then for 4 full weeks at the Camphor Mission Station
4 weeks
for East Ohio. Each group will be there for 2 weeks.
Okay.
This is Lindsay Brown. She's currently serving at the Camphor Mission as a long-term volunteer. She arrived on January 15th and leaves approximately August 15th. So she's she's a graduate student between graduate school programs, and so she decided she was going to go and serve on a long term, and she's been through this training, and she is doing amazing things. And her blog, I think, is in your information, and we were with her for about 2 months, and then she just took off. I think she's just waiting for us to leave because
Where's she from?
She's from Galveston, Texas.
Okay.
She spent time being a psychology major in her undergrad, and then she's studying occupational therapy and counseling. So she's there doing some counseling, trying to do some art therapy. She's very creative. She's doing devotions with the kids. She is
running the library. After school programs.
She went with some kids to register to vote because it was voter registration time, these boys. And there was registration down the street, and she walked with them when they got their voting cards and registered for the first time to vote in the next national election in Liberia. So she's just, this is her library reading book club program. She gives them stickers for all the books that they read and answer a few questions after they've read them to find out about comprehension, to tell me what the book is about. So she's doing just really some creative things, asking them questions. It's exam week this week, and she realized, it's on her blog, but she realized there's no place for them to study, that they're sitting under trees just like they do when they socialize, and so people are coming up and thinking they're hanging out and interrupting their study. And so she created the study zone in the library where there's no talking, there's a few snacks, give them food and they will come, good United Methodist, and some pencils, and she'll help and quiz them on what they're studying, but no, the kids aren't allowed to talk to each other in that room. And so it's a study place for them to be able to come and thrive. And she's just doing terrific things. Everybody kept asking me if she was my daughter. She's 24 years old. I'm not that old, but in that culture, I would be her mother. And so we just started to say yes. So I'm her Liberian mother. So I'm her Liberian mother. And the exciting part is when we go back in June, we'll be back there with her and we'll greet her again at Camphor. And I'm just really excited to not only see the people at Camphor, but to see her there too. Jack Hopkins is one of our volunteers, did not go through the training, but he went with Kevin Shaner, who did go through your training as a long-term volunteer, and he was with us for 3 weeks in Liberia. He's a horticulturalist in Ohio, growing flowers and shrubs, but he went to teach them how to grow carrots and lettuce and cucumbers and other things, and Lindsay just emailed me this morning to say they've harvested the cucumbers that he helped plant, so I've got to call him when I get home.
In Illinois, it sent this rototiller a couple of years ago, but nobody knew how to use it, or were afraid to use it. So, but Jack knew how to do it. So now he spent 3 weeks training everybody else.
And gave them confidence to use it in the future. So that was how...
It's a Troyville.
It is.
Yeah.
It's still running.
Janet was one of our volunteers with us while we were there, and she was there for 2 weeks and then went and visited her daughter in Togo, who's with the Peace Corps. But she had more activities happening in that library all week long than these kids have seen in 2 years. She taught teachers how to use some resources in their classroom, and she did some one-on-one tutoring with students. She had math bingo, a regular bingo, dominoes, and a card game going all at the same time. And since then, Lindsay now does game time after school with kids in the dining hall, and has followed up on doing that ministry and that program with the kids. Do you want to talk about Brittany? She's your volunteer.
Well, when we walked in, you were talked about how one of the things that UMVM is not is this resume builder. And yes and no, I guess. Because Brittany, who was a pre-med student going through the process of trying to get accepted, was getting a little disheartened because she wasn't getting accepted to medical school, had a J-term. And I ended up being faculty from some Kentucky Central University or something. And she came and spent a month with us. There's not a whole lot of curative medicine happening at Camphor Mission. Basically, we kind of talked about it. It's without electricity and power and real lab, you're pretty limited. But there are resources. I got connections in Buchanan, we're the government hospital, and we spent some great time up in Ganta Hospital, which is another place in Liberia.
It's United Methodist Mission Station.
And that's doing real curative medicine. So she got to go in and scrub with all your GBGM missionaries. Alma, I think, just got Brittany into medical school because she came home and just knocked people's socks off with what she was doing over there as her resume building conversation maker.
But
that's not why she went there.
Brittany's been doing mission trips to Honduras and other places. And
she's a missionary spirit.
And she wants to be a doctor so she can go be a missionary.
But her UMVM experience didn't hurt her
Well, and it was
the interview process.
Well, it was exciting for...
Yes.
In West Virginia. But the other piece for Brittany, she grew up in the Catholic Church and going to Catholic school. And just